It's late at night, and your phone buzzes with a notification you never thought you'd see. Emergency alert. Multiple nuclear launches detected. You freeze, asking yourself the same question millions would. If the bombs fall, where will they fall first? Tonight, we're breaking down the top 10 cities most at risk in a nuclear strike, and why they matter. This isn't about fear. It's about clarity, strategy, and awareness. Because when we understand why these places are on the list, we also understand the bigger picture of global security and what it means for everyone else. Now, before we jump straight into the list, let's get one thing clear. No list like this is perfect. Nuclear strategy is built on secrecy, misdirection, and constant change. But analysts, defense planners, and even Cold War documents declassified by the Pentagon give us a framework for how targets are chosen. 3 big factors decide whether a city becomes a bullseye: military importance, bases, command centers, missile silos, or nuclear storage; economic and industrial weight, cities critical to energy, finance, or manufacturing; symbolic and political value, capitals, decision-making centers, or seats of government. Keep those 3 in mind, because every city we're about to cover checks at least 1, and often 2 or 3. Military planners don't think in terms of where people live. They think in terms of capability. Where can you hit your opponent hardest so they can't fight back? Where can you cripple their ability to make decisions, launch weapons, or feed their war machine? That's why this list may surprise you. It's not just about population size. It's about leverage. So, let's start breaking it down. City number 10, Washington, D.C. The political brain. Let's begin with the obvious. Washington, D.C. is the nerve center of U.S. government. Home to the White House, the Pentagon, Congress, and countless federal agencies, it's the ultimate decapitation strike target. In nuclear strategy, a decapitation strike aims to cut off leadership, command, and control, to make it impossible for a nation to coordinate defense or retaliation. Washington has been a top target since the very first Soviet missile plans. During the Cold War, simulations showed that a single warhead detonated over D.C. would cripple communications across the East Coast and kill tens of thousands instantly. Today, the threat remains, but it's complicated. Washington is heavily defended by layered missile shields, and adversaries know that a direct strike on the U.S. Capitol would trigger all-out retaliation. Still, in any global conflict, D.C. is target number 1 for symbolic and strategic reasons. City number 9, New York City. The economic heart. If Washington is the brain, New York City is the bloodstream. It's the world's financial capital, home to Wall Street, the New York Stock Exchange, and countless global banks and corporations. Hitting New York wouldn't just kill millions. It would send shockwaves through the global economy, instantly destabilizing trade, banking, and markets worldwide. During the Cold War, Soviet planners consistently ranked New York as a priority counter-value target, meaning its destruction would cripple morale and economic systems. Even today, its symbolic power as America's most recognizable city makes it a tempting bullseye. Add to that its massive port infrastructure and dense population, and New York remains high on every nuclear threat map. City number 8, Los Angeles. The West Coast hub. On the opposite coast, Los Angeles stands out for different reasons. While known globally for Hollywood, LA is also one of the largest ports in the world, a critical entry point for goods from Asia, and home to major aerospace and defense contractors. The Port of Los Angeles and the adjacent Port of Long Beach together handle nearly 40% of U.S. containerized imports. Knocking them offline would devastate supply chains almost instantly. Strategically, LA also sits within range of potential Pacific threats, particularly from adversaries like China or North Korea. A strike here isn't just about symbolism. It's about choking America's economy at its Pacific gateway. City number 7, San Francisco Bay Area, Tech and Command. Just a few hundred miles north, the San Francisco Bay Area is another bullseye. Not for its culture or tourism, but because it's the epicenter of global technology. Think about it. Silicon Valley powers not just social media and apps, but cloud infrastructure, semiconductors, and cyber capabilities, all critical in modern warfare. Beyond that, the Bay Area hosts key naval facilities, including bases that support the U.S. Pacific Fleet. During the Cold War, San Francisco was consistently ranked alongside LA as a West Coast strike zone. Destroying this region wouldn't just collapse parts of the U.S. economy. It would cripple the digital backbone of much of the modern world. City number 6, Chicago. The Central Artery. Finally, for part 1, we move inland to Chicago. You might not expect it, but Chicago is the largest hub city between the coasts. It's a crossroads for rail, shipping, and air traffic, linking the East and West. It also houses critical financial institutions, industrial centers, and energy infrastructure tied to the Midwest. During nuclear war simulations, striking Chicago wasn't just about destroying a city. It was about cutting the U.S. in half, severing the arteries that connect coast to coast. It's also worth noting, Chicago's proximity to the Great Lakes makes fallout and environmental damage from a strike here spread across multiple states and into Canada, magnifying its impact. City number 5, Seattle. The gateway to the Pacific, Seattle might not seem like an obvious choice at first, but it checks multiple boxes for nuclear planners. First, it's home to one of the largest seaports on the West Coast, a vital gateway for U.S. trade with Asia. Shutting Seattle down would sever billions in commerce. Second, and more importantly, Seattle is just miles from Naval Base Kitsap, one of the most significant nuclear weapons facilities in the entire United States. Kitsap houses ballistic missile submarines armed with Trident II missiles, the backbone of America's second strike capability. Destroying or disabling Kitsap would be a top priority for any adversary trying to neutralize U.S. nuclear retaliation. That makes Seattle, by proximity, a likely target in any exchange. City number 4, Colorado Springs, Denver, the command nerve center. Moving inland, we hit Colorado Springs and Denver, a pair of cities that are less about population and more about command. Colorado Springs is home to NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, located deep inside Cheyenne Mountain. This is the facility designed to track incoming missiles, coordinate air defense, and manage America's nuclear response. Nearby, Denver houses supporting military and government infrastructure, making the whole region a critical command and control hub. For adversaries, the logic is simple. If you can blind America's ability to detect and respond to an attack, you tilt the battlefield in your favor. That's why Colorado is considered one of the most certain targets in a nuclear war, even though it's far from the coasts and not among the nation's largest cities. City number 3, Omaha, the strategic brain of nuclear war. Number 3 might surprise you. Omaha, Nebraska. Why Omaha? Because it's the headquarters of U.S. Strategic Command STRATCOM, located at Offutt Air Force Base. STRATCOM is literally the brain of America's nuclear arsenal. It controls intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear bombers, and the submarine fleet. During the Cold War, Offutt was always on the Soviets' first strike list, and that hasn't changed. STRATCOM is the command center that would order a retaliatory strike if the U.S. were hit. That means Omaha, despite its size, has a bullseye painted on it. In fact, many nuclear analysts believe it would be one of the first places targeted, possibly even before Washington, D.C., simply because knocking it out could paralyze the U.S. nuclear response. City number 2, Houston, the energy lifeline. At number 2, we have Houston, Texas, and here's why it matters so much. Houston isn't just another big city. It's the energy capital of America. The metro area is home to massive oil refineries, petrochemical plants, and the headquarters of major energy corporations. The Houston Ship Channel alone handles a staggering share of U.S. fuel and chemical exports. If you wanted to bring America's economy to its knees, cutting off energy production and exports would be devastating. That's exactly why Houston is high on the target list. But it's not just about oil and gas. Houston also houses NASA's Johnson Space Center, the heart of U.S. human spaceflight operations. Symbolically, it represents America's technological ambition and global leadership. A nuclear strike here wouldn't just cripple infrastructure. It would send a psychological shockwave, hitting both energy security and national pride in one blow. City number 1, San Diego, the military crown jewel. Finally, at number 1, we arrive at San Diego, California. Why San Diego? Because it's the largest concentration of U.S. naval power on the planet. San Diego is home to Naval Base San Diego, Naval Air Station North Island, Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, and multiple facilities tied to the U.S. Pacific Fleet. In fact, San Diego hosts more than 60% of the Pacific Fleet's surface ships and is a central hub for aircraft carriers, destroyers, submarines, and marine expeditionary forces. Think about what that means in a nuclear scenario. Destroy San Diego, and you don't just hit a city, you cripple America's ability to project power across the Pacific. For adversaries like China or North Korea, that makes it a priority target. On top of that, San Diego sits dangerously close to the U.S.-Mexico border. A strike here would not only devastate Southern California, but could also destabilize an entire region, spilling fallout and chaos across international lines. That's why many analysts believe San Diego could be the single most likely first strike city in any Pacific-centered conflict. So let's recap the full list of the top 10 cities most at risk in a nuclear strike. Washington, D.C., political command. New York City, economic heart. Los Angeles, West Coast hub. San Francisco Bay Area, tech and naval power. Chicago, central artery. Seattle, submarine base and Pacific Gateway. Colorado Springs, Denver, NORAD and command center. Omaha, STRATCOM headquarters. Houston, energy lifeline. San Diego, military crown jewel. Together, these cities represent the backbone of American power. Political, economic, military, and symbolic. And that's exactly why they sit high on every adversary's nuclear strike map. But here's the most important takeaway. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about awareness. Nuclear war isn't just about mushroom clouds over capitals. It's about carefully calculated strikes aimed at weakening the pillars of a nation's strength. And if there's one thing history teaches us, it's that the people who prepare mentally, logistically, and strategically, are the ones who survive when systems collapse. So, now it's your turn. If you had to bet, which of these cities do you think would be hit first, and why? Do you agree with San Diego at number 1, or do you think another city should top the list? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this breakdown helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. Not only does it help this channel grow, but it also ensures you don't miss the next guide, where we'll go even deeper into survival strategies for ordinary people in extraordinary times. Because at the end of the day, preparedness isn't paranoia, it's peace of mind. And in a world this unpredictable, peace of mind is something worth building. Stay ready, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next video.
Like, comment, and subscribe.